not wanting to work. It is 12:30. So give everybody a minute to come in while I start working on a couple of things. Hey. My camera froze in the beginning. I had to restart. But I'm here trying to work on a couple of gnomes. And it may be the only time that I go live today because David he caught a lot on the trap line this morning. So he's extremely busy. Yeah. I'm not wearing my glasses, as you know, today because they make my eyes so tired. And I had a small migraine again last night, and it's just from trying to transition and get used to my glasses. And so I thought, well, I'm going to take a day without them because my eyeballs are killing me. So I'm going to have to take a day without the glasses and just kind of let my eyes rest. They're very tired, and I have overworked them dramatically trying to get used to this new set of glasses. It's really been quite the ordeal, to be quite honest. I knew it was going to be rough, but I did not know it was going to be that rough. So I've had a hard time getting used to my new glasses. Old ones to kind of get my eyeballs ready to accept the new ones, and it's still giving me problems. So one of those things. Okay, we've got 5 people with us. Y'all need to say howdy so I can see who's here and talk to you. Going to be making a little tiny reindeer, and then a reindeer gnome, and then I've got a couple different types of fur to try with them. David was wanting to be here with us, but he did pretty good on his trap line last night, so he is restocking some stuff and in the fur shed. So he probably will not be with us today at all due to the amount of work he has ahead of him today. I know y'all look forward to seeing him every Sunday, but when he does really well on the trap line, it creates a lot of work for him. And that has to come first because we don't want to waste any animal that we got on the trap line, as y'all know. So I'm trying to wrap this little tiny willow stick with another piece of beaver pelt right now. I'm trying to make a smaller little reindeer. And then I'm going to try to make a couple of larger ones. Because yesterday I got grandbaby time and did not do much else but clean up a little bit and have grandbaby time, which was sorely needed. So I didn't do a whole lot yesterday, but be a grandma, it was very nice. I have to admit, it was very nice, and it was exactly what I needed. So I've got the bottom wrapped, and I've got it wrapped in beaver pelts, and I'm going to wrap the top. And I'm just going to push this over, pinch it on the sides, and glue it. That seems to be the best way so far that I have found. To kind of make the shape of the face. We finally did find some glue sticks. Let me tell you what, they're getting low on felt and glue sticks at your craft stores. So if you're going to be doing Christmas ornaments or crafts, you better go get some glue sticks and some felt because they said they're going to be disappearing real soon. So we rushed, and David rushed out and got me another couple bags of glue sticks. I think I hear his little tracker coming back now. I think he was going to the neighboring broiler houses that a friend owns and picking up some chickens to bait some coyote sets. And then he was going to skin what he caught last night on the trap line. So it was an ugly day here yesterday, but the animals did move as soon as the weather kind of cleared. The animals were out traipsing. So he had actually quite a bit of activity on the trap line last night. And we didn't know how it would work out last night because on those odd weather days, you just never know. Sometimes animals will come out when it clears up and move, and sometimes they will just hunker down and hide and not. And we didn't know really which way it was going to go, but they actually did get out and roam last night. So he did get, I think he got a beaver and a raccoon. He said he got the beaver. He did video going to collect the beaver, so I'll download that video and turn that into one on his channel later today. You know, if glue would not go everywhere, this process would be a lot easier. I know everybody normally expects me in the evenings, but my eyes have been really crapping out around midday. So I thought, you know something, let's just do this before I get another flipping migraine. Okay, I've got him wrapped. He's a smaller, he's a much smaller piece of willow. So he's going to be a smaller reindeer. Hi, Music. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Gypsy. Hayden Fuji. Oh, I'm a queen. No, I'm not a queen. I'm a rather cantankerous old woman you have to deal with. And my health has just been crappy these last few weeks. So it's just been kind of dismal around here lately. But normally when my health has a moment, it normally perks back up. So it'll perk back up eventually and I'll be fine. You got your keys? Okay. David apparently is just now popping in.
Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, I didn't know he was going to pop in. I told him I heard your vehicle come back, but I didn't think he was going to pop in before he went to the first shed.
I ain't got nothing to do.
Look, I wrapped that little tiny willow first. Look how small.
Sweet.
Isn't he cute?
How heavy is it?
Nothing. He's so light. That's why I wrapped him. He is so light.
Sweet. I'll be on later, I guess.
Yeah, if we do another one, if my eyes hold out, we'll do another one.
Might get away on. So tell them to come back.
Yeah, David says if we go live later again, then we'll try to give away a gnome.
It will be high number.
He said make sure we have a lot of viewers because those gnomes are expensive for us, so make sure we have a lot of viewers to justify.
The number will be up around probably like close to 100 or something.
Oh, he said he's going to try to generate a number around 100 for the comment that wins, so y'all have to be talking.
More traffic, bigger prize.
He says more traffic, the more comments, bigger prize. I'm just cutting out little ears now. Y'all, yesterday I had the weirdest internet day because that Carlin Borisenko was asking people to view that video and to see the assault. Now, I viewed the video, but she was saying that her friend was assaulted by the politician. And I watched it several times, and I was like, but it was the politician that was bum rushed. I was like, I can see how the politician felt that he was attacked. And, you know, looked like he got jarred around a few times. And I tried to explain to her that it didn't matter. Her perception, it mattered the court's perception and what they were going to say about it, and that she would just have to wait and see, and that the politician being bum rushed like that from behind had every right to be concerned and to feel like he had been assaulted because he did get knocked a few times. He got knocked around, bless his heart. I don't think he should have talked about it in his event later, and I think he shouldn't have said anything about it until it had gone to court and everything was settled. But I mean, that's his prerogative, being a victim, to talk about it. And I just told her that, you know, she's like, but my friend didn't even touch him. I said, that doesn't really matter in assault, because if you put somebody in fear of bodily harm, that normally constitutes an assault in most states the way the laws are written. And I said, you might want to check out annotated code and how it's written and how they define simple assault and aggravated assault and battery and stuff like that in your state, and kind of, educate yourself on that, because a lot of people need to know those things, especially if they're going to attend these events. They're very highly emotional. You need to be prepared, and you need to, know how to protect yourself from being caught up in something and getting your butt in trouble. And she got so mad at me. She got so mad at me, and I was like, sometimes I don't think she's very nice, but I try to stick with her because I know she's on a journey. I know she's on a learning journey. So I've tried to kind of stick with her and hang in there with her. I've seen her be, very inconsistent and throw tantrums and like try to harm people's live streams. And I was like, she'll get better. She's just on a tangent and still kind of using some of those leftist tactics, but she'll get better. She's growing, she's learning. She's not going to erase, decades of the wrong mindset, that very bad mindset. She's not going to erase that overnight. So let's, give her a minute. And I was expecting her to be like, oh, really? Is that what the law is written as? Is that how they handle it? Okay, well, can you give me an idea about this? And I thought at least maybe my time in law enforcement will come in handy. My time sitting in courtrooms will come in handy. And she didn't even try to communicate with me. She just called me a tribalist shill or whatever the word is, and said she was going to block me if I didn't shut up. And I thought, you don't want to communicate. You just want to be right. Now, if you have a political page and you tell people that you are growing and learning, then I would hope that you're wanting to communicate as opposed to attack people because they have different perceptions than you. But I guess that is not her motivation. And she was like, yeah, I have a no whining policy and you're whining. And I was like, I'm not whining. I'm telling you about annotated code and how the court proceedings will work and why this is not an emotional issue. It's just a legal issue. And you need to understand this from a legal perspective. Or you're still whining. And she said, you're about to be blocked. And I was like, no need to block me. I'll leave. I won't provide you any more views. I told her, I said, I expected more grace from you. And I'm very disappointed that, with the field that you're in and the work that you do and the journey that you say you're on, that you would treat someone like this, and, especially a woman that has a similar education. We should be able to communicate. I mean, we should, whether we share ideals or not, we should want to show people options for communication before hate at all cost. Because we should want to role model the appropriate skills for people. That should be like priority number one. That should be priority number one, is to role model appropriate skills. Now, I can be a turd at times, and I definitely have my own biases and filters and perceptions, but I try to always identify them as mine. We've talked at length here about the transgender movement and how I feel it's not helping women, it's hurting women. But I'm still not going to disrespect an individual that is trans. But I am definitely going to have questions and have a belief pattern and be able to communicate my perspective. But that doesn't mean I'm going to disrespect an individual that engages with me. There are better ways to do things. But I was just amazed at her. But yeah, someone said if I had watched her more closely that I would see that she does tantrums every once in a while. And they said that they had been seeing red flags. Now, I don't watch her as much as I used to. Like when she first came out, I was really interested in her. And I told her in that comment, she was like, he didn't even touch him. There was no assault. I said, Carlin, I remember when you were shadowed down a road with angry words and you were all about you were being assaulted. So, if it's unsolicited, advances and it puts you in fear of bodily harm, it's probably going to be deemed by the court as assault. They're pretty clear on that. and they're pretty clear on the motivation. If you put somebody in fear of bodily harm, they're probably going to slap you with a simple assault or something else. I think this one will probably go to court, and they'll see that it was probably just a non-issue, that there was just a big jostle, and nobody got hurt, and it was mostly probably a misunderstanding and just everybody being super, super like aware because of all the issues that have been going on in the political world. And so I think it ended up being a non-issue. And I didn't know that the person that was being said was the attacker was her friend. Matter of fact, when I first watched it the first time, I didn't know who they were saying the attacker was, because there's like 4 or 5 people that get jarred in the mix. And I was like, I can see why the politician thought he was assaulted. I think if he goes back and watches the film, he will understand that it probably isn't who he thought it was, or it didn't happen exactly how he remembers it happened. But I can understand why he thought he was assaulted, because he definitely got jostled. But I mean, there was no reason for her to behave like that. And I was like, you are someone who has hundreds of thousands of people following you. And this is the behavior you role model. Okay, y'all, I have options here. Somebody's gonna have to tell me what's going on about Jared, because somebody said that they heard horrible stuff, but then somebody said they didn't believe it. I have options. I have little eyes, or I can make him look plumb funky and give him big old googly eyes. Which ones do you think I need to give him? Small or ginormous? I think it's kind of funny because he is so tiny that you could go either way. Cindy, I told her, I said, there's no need to, attack me and threaten me. I'll just not provide you any more views, unsubscribe, and peace out. Well wishes. And I thought she really wanted me to go dark, because that's how she wins. She has to make everybody else go dark. Yeah, I told her in my video, I appreciated the way that she made me think there for several months. But then I did see a few behaviors start to slink back, and I thought, oh, the honeymoon phase is over. And I started to see some of those leftist tactics come back in. And I'm like, no, we don't do that here. We don't get mad and like troll people's pages and try to get them knocked off of their lives because of bandwidth issues. And, it's like, there's no reason for that. Hey, Funny Farm. And so I was concerned, I was concerned. But I thought, well, maybe, maybe she's had a beef with somebody and she's just got to work through it, because we all can have off days. But the more that I'm kind of digging into her behavior lately, it's like, you do realize that you're saying you're a more conservative mindset now, but you're still doing these behaviors that are leftist tactics that are, you attack people's integrity rather than have an argument or a conversation, a debate. You go immediately after integrity. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You can just talk to somebody. You don't have to go after their integrity. You can just communicate. But I was just like, well, you lost my respect. Yeah, I've seen that she has been very, very difficult toward people that have helped establish her. And I think what it was when she was getting a lot of attention and a lot of endorsements and a lot of opportunities, she thought it was going to stay like that. Now, anybody in the right mind knows that when you breach into any new realm, it only lasts for a little while. And then you have to really start pulling your weight, and people really challenge you. And for staying power, you got to have the gusto and the guts to really dig in and make that place your own. And I was really hoping to see that from her, and I've not. And some of the stuff that she's done, like troll people's lives and get her people to go and troll people's lives, that's just, it's been stuff that I would say is just not necessary. It's not necessary to treat people like that. And she wants her viewers to defend her. And I've told my viewers many, many times, if anybody says anything bad about me, do not ever feel that you have to defend me. Do not waste your energy on a battle that is not yours, because that is not what your energy is meant for. Your energy is meant for you, and you are to be happy with your energy, and nobody else should ask you for that energy. But I think that when she started getting a lot of money and getting a lot of fame and getting a lot of pay for her opinion, it kind of blew her ego up, because people think, well, if you pay for something, it's worth, it's worth more. So since you're paying for my opinion, it's worth more. And I keep reminding people, y'all, I pay for toilet paper. Y'all know what I do with it? Money doesn't equate usefulness. It doesn't mean you're better. It doesn't. It just means that, you've got some people that have decided to put some pennies down to listen to you, but it doesn't mean that what you're saying is any more valid or valuable than anything else, because people also pay for toilet paper and we don't do anything great with it. So it's just, kind of keep that, in your mindset, when you are struggling with these perceptions and of self and ego issues. And just remember, don't be a turd to people. There's no reason to be a turd to people. Now, I had people try to turn my channel into something that I did not want it to be when I first came onto YouTube. And I had to, they were coming at me from all sides because it was the true crime community. They wanted me to heal and sit and stay and shut up and do their bidding, and they wanted to take my videos and record them and then post them and try to dog me and say horrible things. And I said, hey, put my face out there anywhere, because once you say my face and my name, people are going to come to my channel, and it'll take them about 2 minutes to realize I'm not the person you said I am, and I'll have a new sub, and that sub will have a safe place where they can come and talk to people. I said, please go right ahead. You are the best advertisement for me that I could possibly have. Go right ahead. And they got really mad at that, and that's what's made them stop bugging me, because they knew they were not going to make me mad, that I was just going to turn anything into a positive. But I refuse to be bullied, and I refuse to tell, have people tell me what and who I should be on YouTube and how I should respond. This is a public forum, and if you put yourself on a public forum, be prepared for opinions, even those you don't like. And I think the opinions that come out of conversations are great things, because at least we're talking, which is one thing our nation is not doing well lately. We're just not talking. But apparently she is more hinged on control than communication. And I thought that was very sad, because she's got quite an education and should be able to problem solve better than what I witnessed. And that concerned me. Because that made me think, okay, we've said we've left the group behind, but we're still participating in a lot of the behaviors of the group. And that is very confusing for a lot of people, because one thing that people really are asking for these days is consistency. And I don't know why people continue to go to YouTube pages where the creators seem to be toxic and abusive and verbally, accost their subs. Y'all, if you're paying money to somebody that does that to you, please leave their channel and take some time off of the internet and realize that you deserve to be treated better than that. You should never pay for someone to berate you. My God, there's too many people out there in the world that do that for free. But, I was just, it concerned me, because there is somebody that a lot of eyes are upon, and the behavior is atrocious. But it is seen as a leading behavior for our political movement over the last few years. Doesn't make me feel any better about things. Yeah, she still has some of those SJW tendencies. She does. Okay, so what's going on with Jared? Okay, this little guy's finished. I gave him the ginormous eyes. I thought they were cute. They make him look a little concerned. He is very small. He's very light. And I think he's adorable. I need to give him a tail, and then I'm done. Trying to use every piece of felt I have because I know via the lady at the craft store there will not be much left. Hey, Amanda. Now make sure y'all watch the channel because if me and David come on live again later, David says we're going to do a giveaway for one of these little gnomes. So make sure that you are hanging on and watching because you can come back later, and every time you comment, it gives you another chance to win the gnome. So every time you comment, that is basically another entry to win the gnome. And we're trying to give away what we're making and, you know, the nicer stuff so that everybody kind of feels like they're getting something for Christmas. I just gave him a little tiny brown tail. He's so cute. I'm tickled with these little guys. They're adorable. They're kind of whimsical, but still very cute. I'm tickled with them. Sit straight now, Bubba. Sit, stay. I want to make one out of rabbit fur here in a minute. I mean, I'm slowly getting my energy back and feeling better. It's been the last couple of weeks of my pancreas has been woo, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So as long as we're moving in the right direction, it's all good as far as I'm concerned. I think this is Coyote. Yes. This is Coyote. This is thick, plush Coyote. Oh my gosh, she is so thick. Not going to be big enough for that. Let me see. I went and got another bag of this fur. There's something in here. I don't know what it is. I think it's a yak. It's not sheep. I know sheep. But there's something else in here that must be like a yak or something. Here's part of a badger. You see the stripe? I told David, I said, I've never seen hair like that. He just laughed at me. I'm trying to find pieces that I can put together. It's so funny because when you see stripe, when you see a brindle animal, their skin is normally striped too. A lot of people don't know that. So while I'm digging, somebody type in a comment what's going on with Jared from AWP because I don't know. That's pretty. I haven't a clue. I am seriously that far behind in the mix. Let's see if I can find another matching piece of fur. Oh, will that match? Will that match? Close enough. This one's gonna look like a caribou. Hopefully. Hopefully. I say that, and he may very well not look very good at all by the time I get done. We're going for caribou. Hey, Priscilla. Oh, I got Priscilla in the Christmas mood. My Christmas tree is up over there. You see it? It's on a beaver chewed log. So I can stack my presents straight up to there. I can get my walking aid through the kitchen when I need it, but I can still hang stuff and stack my presents without it exploding all over my floor and taking up my wheel space when I need my walking aid. And then I've got my grandmother's cathedral window quilt put up for Christmas. So somebody needs to tell me what is up with Jared from AWP. Because I don't know. Okay, I think this guy will work. I think he'll work. Now watch me put all this glue on here and it won't work. Because I've had several people now tell me I need to go read the story, but y'all, I've just been so busy. On the days that David's home, we just try to get as much done as possible because I feel safer with him home. And so I will push myself to do more. And so I don't really keep up with the news and stuff. I don't have my normal downtime because I'm trying to do as much as possible while he's home. Because, if I collapse while he's here, he can pick me up. I don't have to call the ambulance. If my body shuts down and all of a sudden can't feel my legs and arms, I don't, I can just have the phone call him and he can come right in and help me. I don't have to worry about being here alone and being in a pickle. So I tend to push myself more when David is home, and I do more. And I don't read the news. And then when I'm sick, I don't read the news because I don't really want to put anything toxic in my system when I am sick. I really just try to focus on getting better. And the news so much is just toxic stupidity. I mean, did y'all see where the U.S., I shared the link where the U.S. Went in. Basically, we were going to steal gasoline from the Haitians. When did we become this? Really? See, I would be like, yeah, that's something that I would be like, I have to see the proof. I have to see a charge. I have to see an interview with someone who went through something. I have to see something to verify that. It's just crazy what people will say about people right now. Have y'all picked up on how mean and vindictive people have become? It's horrible. And the people that they're mean to are people that do, really great things for their communities and stuff. It's like, hello? You going back out? No? I'm making a little caribou one.
I thought you were doing live.
I am doing live.
Oh, no, I ain't going back out.
I'm making a little caribou one. Look.
Okay.
Ain't it cute?
Pretty cute. Come here.
We'll make this one and then we'll take a break. Yeah, it is exhausting. And who wants to wake up and have to go through all that every day or live in that world every day but I understand why people use fear and constant upheaval as tactics, because it is one of the easiest ways to break down a person, a society, a psyche. I mean, it really is. And so if like I told you several times, if you constantly feel like you're under emotional attack, ask yourself why. What do they want you to feel, and why do they want you to feel it? Because normally there's a reason. Normally there's a reason. And once you can figure that out, you find their motive, kind of if that's somebody you need to be messing with or not. I think I can glue that together right there, and that won't need that extra piece. Hey. This is a little woolly booger. Looky here. He is a little woolly booger. Let's kind of blend him together. I'll put his eyes right there. Are they saying who? It's always when they have money, Cindy. It's the bad things always come out when they have money. Or when they start benefiting normal people. And I have a feeling that whatever's going on in that investigation in Truckee is probably what is attempting to render him canceled, because they're wanting to put questions around all the information that they probably acquired during that retrieval of that young girl. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be said enough to create doubt. I have to see the emails and verify. I mean, I would think that this would be something that he would address if it were being peddled about like this. Is this something that's supposed to be like way back in the past or rather fresh? And then a lot of people also, when they hear about like sex offenses and stuff, they're like, oh my God, that man got a sex offense. He must be a horrible person. Let me tell you something. An old man driving a back road that he's lived on for 40 years and has seen one car on in 40 years, he might be 80 years old, me having bladder issues, trying to get home and decide, well, heck, I've never seen a vehicle on this road. I'm just going to pull over and pee on the ditch line real quick because I'm not going to make it home because I'm 80 and my bladder is saying pee now, woman, or pee now, mister. And then a woman with kids in the car comes around a corner and sees him, calls law enforcement, reports it. That man can get a sex offense. So you have to really, really, really read the fine print when it comes to these specific charges and the motivation behind them. And because they all get lumped in a certain category, but honestly, there's a lot of people that plea out that if they had been able to sit in jail for 2 years, you know, and lose everything they had, they could have probably beat it in court. But because they didn't want to lose their business and their home and their family, they took a plea deal to get out of jail to keep having an income, and pled to something that had they gone to trial with, they would not have been convicted of. And the circumstances that our justice system places on people at sometimes is very, very, very concerning. You know, because they say you have a right to a speedy trial, but those speedy trials don't happen too often. You know, they don't happen too often, especially if you're just a layman or, you know, a regular citizen. They don't happen too often. And, you know, some of these things are things that need to be discussed and changed. You know, I sat and, you know, I supervised sex offenders for a while, and one of the things that I realized is that it is almost a game for some people to cause people harm and get these charges on people. And so every time that I see somebody that is pleading to a sex offense, I always try to get the background information and know what happened, because sometimes you can see the pressure that's been applied and where they've been kind of coerced into a plea deal, where had they gone to trial, they probably would have gotten it completely dismissed, but they did not have the time, the money, and the capability to stay in jail for 2 years waiting on their speedy trial. Because it normally takes 10 months to 2 years in certain places to get a trial docket. And that's absolutely no lie. That is normal, sadly. So I always try to be super careful, especially when people want to talk about sex offenses, because it's such a wide range of things. And you have to see if it went to trial, if there was a plea deal, how much time they did in custody. You know, because a lot of people just know. I mean, they'll get a public defender, and the public defender say, hey, you can either plea and get out and keep your life in some form of semblance, or you can fight this and be in custody for a couple of years, up to a couple of years while we fight this. And the lawyers say, you know, if you just want to go on, live your life, and get out of this mess, just go ahead and plea. You'll do a few years supervision. They don't tell them that normally it comes with lifetime supervision. Lawyers tell the truth. And then these people get out thinking they're going to do, you know, a few years probation and then be done with it. And then they realize that the charge they got charged with comes with lifetime supervision. And the only way out of that is to perform 15 years without any issues and then petition the state to be allowed off of lifetime supervision. And y'all, that's 15 years. So they don't educate these people that have these charges very well. Oh, my nose is itching. And the public, sadly, isn't quite up to speed on things as well, because our justice system is not the justice system you see in the movies and on TV. It is not the Atticus Finch one sentence proves somebody's innocence and the whole world erupts in applause. It's some dirty dealings going on. It's quite disconcerting at times. Oh, so he was a juvenile as well. Okay, well, that puts him in the juvenile category as well. And yeah, if he's the older of the group, that's still not a good thing. But that is that would be him probably repeating a learned behavior that he probably at that time did not truly understand or realize was wrong. Now, if you're raised in that kind of stuff, it does distort your cognition, and you are not making good decisions. So I would say he was probably just as much a victim in that as everyone else. So that would be one of those things that, generational behavior, it's a doozy. There are more families with secrets than people want to admit. Sad to say, but there are more unhappy families than there are happy families. Did you hear about that girl? I forget what state it was on. Shoot. She was 14, had just started high school, and was going to go change. She was on a couple of sports teams, and she was going to go change in the girls' locker room. And a 14-year-old boy walked in, and she was like, I don't think you're supposed to be in here. We're all girls in here, and we're about to change, and you need to leave. And I guess he basically told her, you can't tell me what to do, and I don't have to leave. I'm trans. She was like, it was obvious he was a boy. Okay. He just stood there and watched the girls change. And she left and went to the principal and was like, he doesn't need to be in there. He's making me uncomfortable. He is, he's a boy, and that's the girls' locker room. She was concerned. She felt, like she was being targeted and something bad going down. And she got in trouble, and they suspended her for not accommodating him. Now, by law, if he had been standing out of her window, if he had been on anywhere else trying to view her unclothed body, he would have caught a sex offense. But because he said he was trans and it was on a protected school public space, everybody has to kowtow to him. So I'll have to pull the story. It was on the one news show that I watched when I was down, and they interviewed her and her father. Well, her father was a coach at the school, and when he found out what was going on, he went to the principal and he was like, why did you punish my daughter? She's absolutely right. There should be no biological males in that girl's dressing room when they're changing. There's no reason for them to share that space. Exactly, music. There's no reason for them to share that space. They terminated him. And and then, now they've come back with a lawsuit, and the school's like, oh, sorry. And here's the thing is you can't protect everybody. But what you can do is create foundational rules that protect the majority. Because while I'm sure there are some trans that would just feel better about using the other rest area, you have to then think about everyone else's emotions in that whole scene as well. And too much, I think here lately, we're focusing on just one side of the story, and we can't be doing that. We have to look at the overall view. Just like the one guy that went into the spa is it California? Went to the spa, but he didn't go into the co-ed spa or the men's spa, or the women's spa. He went into the family spa where the women and children go, and paraded around naked in a very unbecoming state, and said he was trans and they couldn't remove him. And the women removed their children, covered their little girls' eyes, and moved. And I think it was mostly like a Korean kind of like a Asian Islander Pacific, it's a culture thing. They have bathhouses, and the men and the boys have one, and the girls and the women have one, and that's how their culture bathes. And but they had to try to, accommodate the trans. They had created a duo separate spa, but he chose not to go into that one. He chose to go in one that only had women and young girls. Well, everybody threw a fit and was like, get him out of here. He's obviously a predator. Well, then everybody's like, how dare you call him a predator? Well, then they went to look up the information. He was a registered sex offender, was in violation of his supervision, did catch new charges, and was actively going through predation mode on those women and those girls in that spa. So you have to be really keep your you gotta be on Bluetooth. Well, we're learning stuff all over the place now. You got to really keep your mind open and look at the bigger picture sometimes. And it kind of is a bathhouse. They call them spas now, but it kind of is a bathhouse. Cindy, I can't remember, but I will try to post the link. I can't remember what state it was in, but I'll try to post the link. I'll go back and try to find the one I watched. I was just profoundly disturbed that a group of 14 to 16-year-old girls could say they were uncomfortable, and the school said, no, you have to stand there and be uncomfortable. You cannot leave, act out, or diminish this other person in any way, even though you're uncomfortable, because you'll make him uncomfortable. I'm sorry, making 20 little girls uncomfortable to help one person seems... How about you tell the one little boy, hey, you know something, this is new. We're all trying to get used to this. And while we want to respect you and provide you a safe place to change, we actually think it probably needs to be separate for your safety as well as everyone else's. And then if you got a kid that's kicking the wall saying, but I want to change with the girls, well, then you got a problem. Because, I grew up and I know people from my class that were trans. They've moved off now and don't live here anymore growing up, but they would never have wanted to have put their friends that were girls in that position. Even though they were suffering, having to deal with in the boys' locker room, they would never have wanted to have made the girls uncomfortable. And, and that's, I'm seeing a lot of girls being made uncomfortable. And that bothers me. That bothers me. Okay, this guy actually does look like a caribou. This guy's adorable. He's super light, too. This guy's absolutely adorable. He's got a two-tone tail. He's got a cowlick and a half at the back, too, but he is thick fur. I mean, he is thick fur. He looks like he's buried down in his little collar. He is adorable. So we've got these two made plus the first one I made. This one's a little tiny one. He's like a little skinny, and this is a chunkier one. So that's it, music. It's they feel like you have to put the emphasis on one or the other when we actually need to look at everyone. And everyone has to have a safe space. And sometimes that safe space can't be conjoined. To make it a safe space for all, the safe spaces have to be separate. And as long as you're providing a safe space for that individual and those girls to change, it shouldn't matter that they're not with the girls. It just matters that everyone is safe. And that's when you start seeing someone demand to be in the female locker room, they should be more concerned about a safe space to change as opposed to being surrounded by a certain gender. And so you have to look at motivation and what is actually being sought there. And you have to ask some hard questions. And, and kids are going through a lot at that age. And I mean, seriously, we need to keep them safe and give them appropriate boundaries and parameters instead of giving them everything they think they want. Because kids will notoriously make the wrong decision and ask for things that are not good for them. That's why kids can't get tattoos. They can't smoke cigarettes. Hello. They don't have good cautionary blinkers in their frontal lobe yet. Danger, Will Robinson. So I just thought it was really weird. that we're not protecting our young girls anymore. If you look at the statistics on assault and victimization, 70% of the time females are the victims. And about 60% of that time it's from a male attacker. And they just identify the attacker by biological gender. So it doesn't, you have to think, we have to be careful, especially with our young ones that are not quite socially conscious and aware and don't quite understand all the dark and hidden black spots in people's hearts and brains. We have to protect them. And we have to look at the statistics and we have to say, oh, well, it looks like we need to protect our little girls as a priority because they're the ones ending up in these very negative, incidents more than most. That doesn't mean we don't want to protect everyone else. We obviously want everyone to be safe, but you have to look at the entire picture. I don't want anyone to be hurt and I don't want anyone to feel ostracized, but safety is more important than feeling like you're in your herd. Just because you identify with the female population doesn't mean you need to witness them in a manner of undress while they're preparing for gym class. That doesn't make you any more part of that gender or not. If you identify as a female, then you can identify as a female whether you're changing with them or not. So what's the priority? Safety and acceptance, or demanding certain types of instant gratification based on other possibly inappropriate motivators. You just got to be very careful. Got to be very careful. But we're starting to see public places turned into things that don't go with our legal law or rule of law. And it's like, how are we allowing this to happen when in any other space had that occurred, that would have been basically a sexual assault. Yes, I saw the shop teacher actually watch where they went to a school thing and was turn around telling the parents, how dare you, you are so intolerant. And I'm like, listen, number one, you're a safety violation in a wood shop, dude. I mean, let's just call it like we see it, I mean, if you're running bandsaws and miter saws and compound miter saws and jigsaws, and you got that fake weight on your chest that looks like it's got dowel rods coming out of the bottom, you are a danger in a wood shop scenario. There's no way around that. You're a danger to walk down the hallway with kids that could be at that eyesight because you could take an eye out. There's one thing about people that want to, and I've said this several times, and Blair White actually said this on an interview with the Quartering a couple weeks ago. There's started to be a shift where trans people like to be misgendered, like to stick out, like to create trouble, like to make waves. And that is disturbing. She said it disturbs her. It disturbs me greatly as well, because in counseling and with everything that I have, all the research and everything, all the studying I've done and all the education and all my life experiences with people with true gender dysphoria, they truly just want to walk in a room and not have anyone know. They want to walk in a room and just have acceptance happen because they basically pass. And so when they walk in a room and people say, ma'am, and they don't have to explain that they're trans and would you please call me ma'am, they think that it's a win, and they don't want people to know. They want to blend in because they've gone their entire life feeling ostracized as though they stand out and they didn't fit in. They just really want to fit in. Well, now we're seeing this whole little counterculture that wants to stand out, cause social issues, create movements, and use people's emotions to get political notoriety and social media notoriety. And that's when I say we have an issue, because if you look at the stats on the research, out of the people that transition, if you look at everyone that on these big studies they've done they've said I'm trans, About 3% follow through, get full surgeries, and function normally as the other gender and go on to have productive, successful lives. That means the other 97% were in some other kind of mental state where they were thinking this was a fix, but it wasn't a fix, and they changed their mind. Out of that 97, almost 70% of them will detransition. So for, almost 3/4 of this population, it is one of those exploratory seasons in life where they're learning something about themselves, and then when they learn it, they realize, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to take this road. So why are we allowing, with stats like that, why are we allowing 5-year-old kids to get on testosterone blockers, kids as young as 5 and 6 and 7 to get on to suspend puberty, when we know suspending puberty and suspending the hormone growth suspends the growth in the brain, suspends the frontal lobe, the societal, growth, and it basically holds them in a juvenile mindset and freezes their growth. Why do we want to do that? Now, once you're 18, go do what you want. But allow yourself to mature. Because if you start playing with your hormones and you're playing with your chemical neurotransmitters and your chemical composition in your brain, and that's going to screw you up. And it causes way more problems than it resolves. So you should allow your body to mature. And I know some people say, well, that's painful because then I'll look like a man. Yes, but you will have a functioning brain. You will be able to comprehend society and social cues, and you won't feel as lost as you would if you had impeded their growth. And that's not being pushed to the forefront. So the brain and the formation is not being pushed to the forefront. It's just what you look like. But the whole trans agenda is supposed to be not what you look like, but who you feel you are. But we want you to look a certain way. And oh, by the way, to look a certain way, we're going to stop the information pathways in your brain. So you may not really know how you feel. It's just, to me, there's just a whole bunch of this, like, it doesn't make sense. And I really try for it to make sense. Like, I have, somebody's over 18 and they want to live their life and they're not hurting anybody else. I don't care. I will compliment you on your shoes and your handbag and be as nice to you as possible. And, as long as you're not creating issues for society, you go do you, boo. But our kids need to be protected, and they need to come to cognitive maturation before they really start freezing and arresting their development. And that terrifies me. And I think that's why we have this elongated juvenile period with our younger groups now, is we've had enough people suspend that normal growth with their neurotransmitters and their chemicals, and we're having like an extended juvenile season with people. It just, you should see what autocorrect does to me all the time, Cindy. I'm telling you. It gets creative with me. But anyway, yeah, I'll find that story and share it on the community panel. It absolutely boggled my mind. Who in their right mind would make a whole group of young women feel self-conscious and scared for one person? At some point, you have to weigh out the pros and cons. And should that not have been an easy decision for the school? And should an easier outcome not have been, hey, we want everyone to be safe, so we will also provide you your own space to change. And then some people say, well, they feel ostracized because it's their own space to change. Let me tell you something. As a girl that changed with the girls, if I could have had my own space, I would have changed, because girls are mean. Give me my own space. I'd have been fine with that. I'd have gone in there and changed and been like, I don't have to deal with you heifers. Peace. But I thought, and the fire the dad and suspend the girl. Now, when they went after a lawsuit, they dumped all that and said, oh no, your finance can come. Oh no, just kidding. JK. It's boggles my mind. It also boggles my mind how the White House's pick to represent trans was that Dylan Mulvaney. Now, I got nothing against Dylan, except I believe that his behavior is more theater than it is truth. And it's a dinky little tree, but I mean, it suits me for my purposes, yeah. And I'm not saying he's not following his own truth, but the way that he portrays it and the way that he tries to reduce women to certain behaviors or whimsical, flippant pantomime thing, it bothers me. And I could have thought of so many more credible people in the trans community that could have had a true conversation at the White House than someone who is, for a large part, creating a lot of stress around their behavior. And I don't wish him ill will. I hope he does well. But there are so many other people that have dealt with being trans for decades that would have had so much more maturity and wisdom behind what they could have shared at the White House. And I would have loved to have seen that rather than someone that's just been a girl for 265 days, I think we're making bad decisions all the way around for who we choose to represent certain populations. Cindy, it's always nice when they do learn to accept themselves, because that is the root of it, is acceptance. And so I saw some cases where Mother Nature had just been cruel and created some issues to where physically, biologically, there was no real great choice for them, and we had to sort out the emotions and try to really find a path that they were comfortable with, that could meet the most of their expectations and create the most comfortable life, the most productive life possible, and come to terms with what Mother Nature had kind of dealt them. And it was sad. And then I saw people that will actually go out and self-mutilate and create. I mean, I saw the whole gamut, and it's sad. But at the core of almost every case was just self-acceptance. But if you start screwing with your chemical composition and your hormonal composition and your neurotransmitters, and you're not going to find any kind of self-acceptance, because you're screwing up everything that helps you identify yourself and how you perceive yourself and accept yourself. So it's just kind of like, stop hitting your head in the brick wall and let's work on it. But if they get past 18, 20 and they go through the therapy and they go and they see the counselor and they deem that this is one of those cases where they're going to be more productive to transition, I got no problem with people transitioning. I do have a problem with people that like to put on a performance level show and demand that it's just for them, when obviously it's an entertainment venture. And there's an issue under that needs to be dealt with, because that is something that's going to haunt them in their entire life. And whatever they choose to do, however they choose to represent or present themselves, they're going to have the same need for that feedback and that interaction, and that sometimes even the animosity they create. You got to deal with the root issues before you make the big changes, or you're just going to end up, in prettier lipstick with the same issues. You got to deal with the root issues. And I would not wish anyone to have to prolong their root issues and have life be, even more uncomfortable than what I had to witness when I was dealing with that demographic. I felt really, really horrible for some, because I knew they were struggling in a way that some people could not understand. And I knew that when I started seeing this new trans movement, that now most of society would never understand it, because it has become something that is so foreign and that is not represented by this new movement. So people don't truly understand the struggle that I saw dealing with people with gender dysphoria. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I mean, there's a lot of exploration that happens in the teenage years. And here's what I told my kids. Literally from like 18 to 24 is like those are your biggest brain fart years. Because you change so much from 14 on, well, really from 12, 13 on, that you basically are a different person every day. Do not pick who you want to be during that time because you're compositionally, hormonally, chemically, a different person every day. Just ride the wave and see where you land, okay? Because if you need to pick a different person every day, that's pretty much as a teenager what you're doing with your chemical and hormonal composition. It's atrocious. It's a rough time. We all get it. It's hard. But still, from 18 to 24 is still some of your biggest brain fart years because that's when you finish up your social cues and your social awareness. And so you're still learning a lot about how you relate to the world, and how you relate to yourself then relates to the world. And it's difficult to watch somebody change themselves before that age range because they still have so much to learn about themselves. Now, if I had a kid that wanted to explore things, I certainly would not shut it down because that would even make it more enticing. But I would talk to them and I would be, okay, well, what are you hoping to find on this venture? What are you hoping to learn about yourself? You know, let's really get into this and let's journal. Let's make a map. Let's put it in black and white, what we're looking for, what we're experiencing, and what's going right, what's going wrong, so that we don't backtrack and do this again, that we stay on task and we figure out, you know, who you want to be, why you want to be that person, and what's going to make you the happiest. But a lot of people are never having these conversations with their kids. And, you know, and kids are confused because the stability and the love they have at home is overshadowed greatly by social media and instant gratification, likes, dislikes, followings. You know, all of that is now so much more important, you know, because the family, it has been demoted per our society, and strangers dictate your worth now. Let that sink in for a minute. And so kids feel like they have to project something to make other people gravitate toward them, or they don't have support and love in a family. But if they were to not have the social media and have to sit and realize that they've got a whole group of people around them that loves them, that is there at the snap of their fingers, the first teardrop, they would recognize, oh, I do have support, I do have love. But social media is such a draw, such a disguiser. It deflects, you know, it just completely takes them away from the true love group that they need to be surrounded by at that age. And, you know, I'm very lucky that both of my kids did not care for the internet or social media. Yeah, it's very much an addiction. It's kind of like a compulsion. It's kind of like a compulsion. Yeah, and it's difficult to watch your kids struggle, isn't it? Because you know you have beautiful, remarkably intelligent children, but then you see them go into social media or social situations where people want to change them, make them fit a mold, and then you see your children struggle wanting to fit that mold. And you know, and people are almost always going to be pleasers. They're almost always going to change themselves to suit someone else because we like to fly under the radar. We like to belong. That's great. But who are you trying to belong with? So, you know, I always tell the kids, you know, we go back to my butt wiping thing. You should care more about, you know, the only people you should care about is people that you're wiping their butt. And that means care about yourself. And so I would have to tell my kids, do you wipe their butt? Well, then why do you care? And my kids would go, oh. And you would hear my kids, you know, 15, 16, go, oh, yeah, I don't want to wipe their butt, so I don't guess I need to worry about that. You know, and it was a harsh thing to say, but it put in their mind that is where you place yourself. You place yourself beneath and submissive to someone who is asking you to kowtow and change to fit their mold. No, you get to be your own mold. You get to be your own mold. But we need to fill the mold before we take off the safety parameters, to do the final zhuzh. And so that's all I ask is, like, let your kids grow up, and pay attention to them, give them love, give them support, let them express themselves, which I know you've done very well. And they will eventually, understand what's going on. But during those formative years, and with social media and the internet and the way the world's going, it's a struggle to parent right now. It's a struggle to parent. And they have to really learn to focus on themselves. And while we have a whole social media influencer list of people that focus on themselves, they also tell people, embrace me, but question yourself, and it's a very tumultuous relationship that social media influencers have with their subs. It's almost, I think it's sometimes quite abusive, to be quite honest. Support is key. Yep. Support is key. Yep. And just hang in there, and if, and if you hang in there and love them and give them the tools they need to express themselves and communicate and talk, and if they're not able to talk, give them other forms of media to where they can express themselves so that you can still see kind of where their headset is, they will give you clues about what's going on, and they will get to a place where they get whatever is struggling out and want to resolve the issue. And for some it comes earlier, for some it comes later, and you just have to kind of hang in there. But their brain needs to mature without T blockers, without augmenting the chemical composition, without arresting development. We need to let those brains mature. So parents, let their brains mature. That's the most important thing, And I would go and steal my brother's gooseneck trailers and trucks and hide them under my bed so I could play with them, because I didn't want to play Barbies. I lived in a farming family. I had no use for Barbies. I was trying to learn how to drive a tractor and deal with draft mules. I was a little farm girl. Why would I want to play with a Barbie? So I would play with the big trucks and the big goosenecks and the big livestock farms. And, by today's standards, I would have been said, oh, she must be trans. We need to start transitioning her. No, I'm very much a girl. I really like my burly husband. Even though I'm a heifer and I'm a big old huss, I am a girl. And I would hate to think that somebody would have thought the toys that I played with, or the fact that I wanted to wear my cowboy boots, or that I didn't cry when I skinned my knees, it meant that I was supposed to be trained to be a different gender. Just leave your kids alone. Let them grow. Let their brains mature. Let them explore and challenge them. Don't always kowtow to them. Challenge them, but support them and love them and challenge them and question them and keep a healthy conversation going, and let their brains mature, and they will be happy if they can. If you arrest the development of their cognition, it's going to cause problems. And a lot of parents don't understand that. I was an extreme tomboy. I would climb trees to get away from my mother so she wouldn't put a dress on me for Sunday church. So, I would definitely, when I was in high school, I wore men's jeans and men's boots. Well, they lasted longer than the women's. The women's was not built as well. And if I was going to pay $200 for a pair of boots, they needed to last. If I was going to pay $48 for a pair of jeans, they needed to last. And women's jeans pinched you when you were in the saddle. That's not nice. Men's jeans did not pinch me. So I wore men's jeans and men's boots. And people would look at me strange. And I'd be like, seriously, it's a financial issue here, bud. Women's jeans just, kick out after about 2 weeks. I'm in manure and barbed wire and getting attacked by cattle and horses. And, I need stuff that's going to last. And even my mother at one point was like, well, you act so mannish. Well, I'm sorry, Mom. I live on a farm. My dad's a blacksmith. You were always in college, so I was always at the barn with Dad. My brother has a taxidermy shop and a hunting lodge. That's what I learned to do to help, because you help your families. I don't have many opportunities to be like Princess and the Pea here. What did you think I was going to become? And actually, so me and my mom had this conversation. She's like, well, I just don't want people in the community to wonder about you. And I was like, I don't give a flying crap if they wonder about me or not, Mom. I was like, I'm not dating anybody. I have no ideations of dating anybody. I've still got to get through college. I'm training horses. I'm out on the farm. I'm dealing with barbed wire and poop. I'm going to have stuff on that's going to last through that. And so it was already starting to shift when I was a teenager, people being very, like, way too perceptive of things. And wanting to say, oh, well, they're doing this, therefore they're that. No. Like, my daughter, when she was growing up, it was like, I don't care if we went out to sight in the guns, she learned how to shoot. If we went fishing, you learn how to fish. No, you don't get a Barbie rod. Those things cost $28. You get an open face reel like everybody else in this goddamn family, and you're going to learn how to use it, because I ain't wasting money on a Barbie rod. And so we lived a very, everybody kind of got the same thing kind of life. But when she became older and, wanted to dress a little bit more refined and stuff, okay, I allow that. But I certainly would not have made any changes in her brain chemistry based on how she behaved from 4 to 10 or 12. Because she was just as apt to be in the backyard trying to give mouth to mouth to a dying chicken as she was to try to be inside putting earrings on. I mean, it's just farm life. So, just don't, people want to jump on things and try to stamp it as something. Just let your kids' brains mature, let them grow up, let them go through those explorative years. If you got a girl that doesn't want to dress up, girls just sometimes don't want to dress up. Just, girls don't always like makeup. Girls don't know. Don't take it to an unhealthy extreme and think that you have to then transition them. And I see a lot of parents, think it's child abuse to not cater to their children. I think the worst thing you can do is cater to your children, because your children have to learn how to function in the world. And if you create a world that is catering to them, they're never going to learn how to understand that there are how many people in the world, and they all think the sun came out of their butt that morning, and we all have to get along. So the worst thing you can do is cater to your child, make them think they're the most important thing on the planet. Love them, tell them how much you love them, make sure they know how much you love them, but also make sure that they know that everyone on the planet is a human being and everyone on the planet is worthwhile. And don't think that, the angel choir sang the moment you woke up and stretched this morning. We've got a lot of kids that have very inflated egos these days, and it's like, they get up and they expect 3-course meal for breakfast, and lunch better be waiting when they get ready for a snack. And no, integrate, be part of the family, learn your skills, learn your life skills, learn to function, be a productive member of society, learn how to communicate, negotiate, have a dialogue, and worry about your sex life after you get your brain all the way together. It'll work out a lot better. Yeah, men's jeans last a lot longer. I mean, women get the short end of the stick when it comes close. They don't laugh. Cindy, be careful out there. Well, I'm going to shut it for a minute. Dave's in here. I'm going to take a break and rest for a little bit, and then we'll come back later and do a live. I'm going to make us some lunch. These are going together super quick. So if I'm going to do some housework and stuff, but if I might make another before the live, or I might make one during the live. But we will be back. And make sure that everybody pops in and looks and comes back and talks a lot, because if we have enough communication, we want to try to give away a gnome. And we need a lot of people here. So I'm going to take a break. It's hot here today. I'm going to open more windows. And we will see you all later. David's going to rest for a few minutes, and then we'll have proof of life, let him check in, and we'll all say howdy and have our normal afternoon thing. So I'll see you in a little bit. Y'all have a good afternoon, and we'll catch up early evening. Bye, guys.